Have you always wanted a tripod for your smartphone, but you couldn't find one online or in stores that worked just perfectly? Stick around and I'll show you how I made one using scrap wood and spare parts from my shop. Inspiration for this video comes from a couple tripod videos that Matthias Wandel put together a month and a half, a couple months ago. Anyways, links to those down below. And actually, I think I can put one right here. I've been looking for a scrap wood project for a while, and I wanted a tripod since I've been using my phone to do all of these video shoots. So this project kills two birds with one stone. It was a lot of fun. I learned how to make dovetails, so it was a real good time. Let's get started.
Boards before, boards after. Scrap wood projects are fun. So here I am taking all the boards, ripping them to the same width, and eventually we'll get them to the same length after the fact. Taking everything to the planer to get off some of that old paint that had been on there for years. Now this is a dovetail project. This is trial 1 with lots of error, and trial 2 with math. I'll link to the Matthias Wandel videos. He does a great job explaining how to get this taken care of. Thanks a lot. Then I drew up the shoulder joint, which was fun, and laid everything out. So there's the stand. Here are the wings that are going to join it to the shoulder joint. I put a spacer in between the shoulder joint and the actual leg to make sure that it didn't rub. And of course I rounded over the edges on the joint. These glued up real nicely, so long as you have the right clamps to hold them in place. Like such. And then I waited for a night. Next I bored out the hole in the shoulder joint for the dowel which was going to raise the head fixture up and down. But it was a little bit too tight, so I had to take it over to the spindle sander to widen it up, and that was oddly suggestive looking. I wanted a way to keep the dowel in place, so I drilled a hole, took a screw over to the grinder, and then I glued a wing nut to the end of it, and once that was done and dried, it ended up working perfectly. I attached the legs to the shoulder joint just using 1 1/4 inch screws on either end, and that allowed them to pivot very freely. Here I am struggling to bend a steel rod which I needed for the neck joint. Haven't done that a lot. Next I cut up some more scrap to make the blocks which are going to be used for the pan and tilt motion. Here you can see I've got a couple of them on there already, and I'm threading this through a bolt, and eventually I'll keep that in place using a wing nut, but that one wing nut locks 2 different motions in place. Earlier this year, our basketball hoop broke and the backboard blew down in a windstorm, so I saved the material, and I decided it would be perfect for this project because I wanted something translucent through which I could see the recording that was taking place on the camera. It was nerve-wracking cutting it up. Remember kids, it's important to use push sticks to push your project through, or else, whoops! I ran the piece of wood that plexiglass was going to fit into through the table saw a couple times to make a perfect fitting dado. And once the dado was cut, I took it over to the rest of the tripod head and glued it up. Here's the final product from bottom to top. You can go over and the head still comes out. You can see you've got motion for the pan and the tilt in 2 different directions. And I just take my phone up here, place it against it, and clamp them on either end. The legs are simple to extend. Just loosen a wing nut and pull. Very easy when it's standing up. They stay in place when you tighten it again because of a strip that I cut on the underside, which applies tightening pressure when you retighten the wing nut.
Well, there you have it. I am quite pleased with how everything turned out, and I'm really glad that now I have a situation where I can set up my phone, I can look at the screen, and I can use the rear-facing camera to shoot video. In my opinion, it has a much better quality than the front selfie FaceTime HD video that I've been using. So as always, be sure to follow the Midwest Man Mountain on your favorite channel below, and of course, subscribe, because that helps a lot. And be sure to check out those other videos from Matthias Wandel when you have the time. So until next time, happy Thanksgiving!